Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We're going to do a really quick project today, and we're going to customize my Spyder a bit by changing the peg position from the UFit system. If you're not familiar, in the F3 range of the Spyder, there's something called UFit. There are 5 different positions that you can move these foot pegs to have a kind of longer reach or shorter, and there's a website that will give you a better feel for where that should be for your height, things like that, for your riding position. Now, if you bought your Spyder new, the dealership would guide you through that process and actually get it set up for you in most cases. I got mine used, so I didn't have that option. And the person I bought it from was quite a bit shorter. So mine's currently sitting in position 3 on the right side, and interestingly, it's in position 4 on the left side. I'm gonna put both of them to position 5 and walk you through how to do that. So as I mentioned, the UFit system allows you to move these pegs to 5 different positions. There are also a bunch of different handlebar options to change your reach a bit. I'm not going to mess with that for this video. Instead, we're going to adjust it. Now, I mentioned that this side is in position 4, and the reason I know that is if I look on the side of this rail, you'll see there's actually these spots here. So there's one here, one there, one there, one there, and then the one that it's in. So 1, 2, 3, it's currently in 4. There's another detent kind of down on the opposite side for it. On the other side, we're in 3 from the same method. Now, changing this one is easy. It's just a couple screws on the bottom. This will then pop off, reposition into the next hole down, get tightened down, done. The other side's a little bit more complicated because we have to deal with the brake rod. For the sake of ease, we'll deal with the left side first. So I've taken this off. It's just a 5mm Allen. I have just a socket for that. There's a threaded bit that sits kind of on the back side of this, so down in here. So you just run these screws out, and then this will hinge out. It just spreads, and you can see inside that little peg in the middle is what puts this into the proper position. So that's what you'll sink into position 1 through 5, depending on which one of the spots you want this to be in. So kind of the lines are where mine used to be. I'll clean this rail up a little bit, set it back in 5, squeeze it together, and then just run those screws back in. So here we are on the right-hand side of the bike, and as I mentioned, there is the same method for adjusting the peg itself, so just the 2 kind of screws on the bottom. But then on the back, there's brake rod here that we have to replace. So this is a pretty simple affair to remove. I'll walk you through the process of it, but essentially what you need to do is purchase the proper length of brake rod so that when you reposition this, everything lines up. Now, this doesn't adjust the angle of the pedal itself. It's purely about the pedal's throw to the back. On the right-hand side of the Spyder, you're going to want to take the brake rod off first before you move the actual peg. Now, to do that, there is a bolt here and then one over on the other side, and you're going to take this back one off first. That'll allow the pedal to slide forward so that you have access to the actual screw side of this. Otherwise, it's really difficult to get in there. This is just a 10mm wrench on the back and that same 5mm screw on the front. So on this piece, there's a little kind of safety catch here. You're just going to pull that back, and that'll allow you to put your 5mm in the front, get your wrench on the backhand side, and pull that off. And then once that's free, that pedal will hinge like this to allow you to get access to the bottom screw. You can then take the whole thing apart and get your longer brake rod. So with the back half of the rod released, this pedal is now free to travel. That'll allow it to hook forward, and then you can do your same 5mm here and pull the front one off. Okay, so we've got the new rod from BRP, and you can see it is quite a bit longer than the original to accommodate for this being moved. The hardware kit that's included with it also includes new screws for the pegs itself and for the clips that hold the rod in place. So you'll have nice fresh Loctite on them. I do recommend that you use the new hardware just to keep all of this nice and snug when you put it back together. No real trick to installation on this. We'll move this peg first down into position 5, install the front edge of the brake rod, run it down to the back, and install the back. I'm set up in position 5, and I can tell you already this is much nicer. for me than what I've been doing for the last 4,000 miles on the Spyder. The one thing I noticed being in the wrong position before is the brake pedal. Previously, when I was up here, this is about where the peg was, I would have to actually lift my foot up and over to put it onto the brake pedal. Now with my legs kind of comfortably resting here, the brake is right next to my foot, so I can just key over to it really easily and be a bit more responsive that way. So I think this is gonna be a lot nicer. I did notice in the tighter position that on a long ride, I'd find myself kind of stretching my legs out a bit. I may still look for highway pegs just to bring my feet up when I'm doing a long cruise, but for right now, I think this is gonna be a much better setup for me. So that's it, very simple project. Takes all told about 5 minutes or so to adjust the positioning on this. I will post a link to the UFit website in the description of this video. Hopefully BRP doesn't move it anytime soon, as well as possibly a link to a couple images to show it. I'll put a few of them up on the screen here as well, just so you can see the different body positioning and some of the kind of cut points rather for height on this. So this being the end of a DIY dad video, I owe you a dad joke. And this one's probably only going to be funny for children of the 80s, assuming any of these are actually funny. Most of these are groaners, hence dad joke. So, what do you call a vegetable that's cool, but not too cool? Radish. All right, for those of you on motorcycles, ride safe. For the rest of you, remember the most important step to any DIY project is just to do it. Nobody's gonna see the flaws unless you point them out to them. Take care, we'll see you on the next one.